An Australian banker has won the right to work from home every day in what's being hailed a landmark case. Karlene Chandler challenged Westpac's demand that she work in an office 2 days a week. The Australian bank is one of many companies that have been rolling back its work from home policies that were introduced during the COVID pandemic. But the state's Labor Tribunal ruled in favour of Chandler and says that she has the right to work from home all the time. Well, I want to get more on this now, what it could mean for Chandler and other employees like her. Tim McDonald is a principal at McCabes Lawyers and joins me now live from Sydney. Good morning, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Linda.
So this Fair Work Commission ruling against Australian Bank Westpac is not just about one employee. It is a landmark decision. It could affect millions of workers. Can you explain the significance of this case?
Yes, I think a lot of working parents with young children are going to take some comfort from this case that flexible work arrangements are more likely to be accepted by their employers. But in this case, Westpac, which is a very large employer, had fairly typical arrangements about a hybrid work from home, work in the office. We're trying to get all their employees to come back to the office at least 2 days a week. Ms. Chandler didn't want to do that because it was going to cause a lot of problems for her in terms of trying to pick up her kids from school. And during COVID, she'd mainly been working from home. They'd moved a fair way away from Sydney, and as kids were at a school a fair way distant from that as well. And it was going to be about 2 hours for them to come to the office after dropping the kids off at school.
And so from a legal perspective, could this change the way businesses operate when it comes to denying or approving a work from home request?
Each of these cases are considered on an individual basis, but there are a number of rules in the legislation about how these flexible work requests should be considered. And what the Fair Work Commission said was that there hadn't really been an adequate consideration by Westpac of the particular circumstances of this employee, and they hadn't really tried hard enough to see if they could accommodate an arrangement that would work for both. And it was also said that they had to establish reasonable business grounds to refuse a request, and they hadn't really done that because it seemed as though this employee had been working remotely for some time and had been doing so quite successfully.
Yeah, Westpac argued, that it needed this employee physically present for team communication and training. The Commission, of course, rejecting that. Does it set a precedent in any way, or is it more likely that businesses will watch this case closely when they come to making their own decisions?
I think it will certainly influence the seriousness with which business takes account of these flexible work requests. And I think it's going to have people thinking about things, because for large businesses like Westpac, it's going to be very difficult if you have some employees doing their own thing and then others having to come into the office on particular days. So I think there's more to be said about working from home arrangements, but this will be an important part of the conversation. And in terms of trying to balance up the interests of employees and employers in this situation, I think it maybe tilts the balance more in favour of the employee with these types of requests. But I think there are important distinguishing characteristics, particularly that this employee had been doing this for a while so successfully, and the impact upon her was going to be pretty significant if the request was refused, in that she was probably not going to be able to continue in her job because she lives so far away from the office.
Yeah, more than a 2-hour commute, I believe she said. I can only imagine, though,
That's
now
right.
how awkward it might be working for a company after you've won such a public case against them. Do you think that might be a different challenge for Karlene Chandler?
It may well be. Look, there are strong protections under the law in relation to people who seek to exercise these types of protections. But I suppose it does leave a sort of question about there doesn't seem to be any reason for her to ever come back to the office. And I don't know how that's going to work in the longer term, but it certainly meets her particular circumstances for the moment.
Yeah, certainly a fascinating case. Tim McDonald, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Still to come, we visit Florida's coastline, where a new underwater trail hopes to aid in restoring the coral reefs there. Stay with us. You're watching CNN.